Hey guys, happy New Year, happy New Year. I just first, before we get to the question, want to say how much I miss you guys. A lot of people have been asking, where have I been? If any of you know me, sometimes when I'm going through my things, I tend to break off and deal with the things that I'm going through because I don't want to be a burden for those who love me and around me. So I break off to deal with what I'm going through. But now I'm back, and I promise that from now on, we'll go through it together. And that was a comment that one of my closties said to me. So let's get to it. Today's question is, how do you know when it's time to move on from your current career? Looking back at my past history, I've never moved on from a career that I was feeling down about or negative or feeling that it was the pits, right? I've always left a career on good terms, and I don't know if you can relate to that or not, but even my last day at Ruby Tuesday, I worked all day. I even put in a little overtime because I wanted to ensure that the people who were there after me were in a good spot and that they were set up for success. And even leaving Cheesecake Factory, when I left Cheesecake Factory, I was sent to another restaurant who was a sister company of the Cheesecake Factory, so it was in good terms. And as well as when I left Rock Sugar, when I left Rock Sugar, a lot of people don't know. When I left Rock Sugar, I always told myself that the Cheesecake Factory Incorporated was such an amazing part of my development and my life that when I left them, I would never go to another restaurant because they were the stepping stone for me. And the way that that company was in taking care of their people and loving their people, it was exactly who I was, and I felt like it related to me in the utmost. So I left Cheesecake Factory, I left Rock Sugar, and I stayed there for 3 months. So I started with my new company, Cintas, and I'm so happy with Cintas, like you have no idea. But it's a different organization. Like, it's not food and beverage anymore, although I work with different parts of food and beverage, but I am over the attire and over the uniform. I don't work with the cooking and the preparation. So I love Cintas. But in me leaving Rock Sugar and leaving the Cheesecake Factory, I stayed there 3 months after I left the company because they invested so much into me. And in that, I felt like because they did me so good, I had to ensure that they were set up for success. So for the first 3 months of my new role as an image account manager, I was also still a senior manager for Rock Sugar, and I worked 3 nights a week, and I would work at Cintas from 8:30 to 5, and then I would get off and I would go to Rock Sugar, and I would make sure that the guests were happy. And I felt like I worked harder that 3 nights a week than I did ever, because I wanted people to see that whether I'm with you or whether I'm moving on from you, not to say that I'm without you, because I visited Rock Sugar after I was done for the 3 months, and I visited Cheesecake Factory. And if we had a Ruby Tuesday here, I would visit it too. I was still engaged with the higher ups, and I believe that's a very big, important part of departure. So I knew it was time for me to move on. Not because I wasn't happy, because I was very happy with Rock Sugar, and I was very happy with the chefs involved, and, you know, my higher ups, and the people who mentored me throughout my career. But I knew that it was time for me when my son, Brody, went into kindergarten, and when Samantha was in junior high, and the schedule is completely different. I went from, you know, not knowing if I would work a close, and sometimes closes would be from 3 o'clock at night to sometimes 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And when I used to work nights, I literally would get off of work, sometimes stay up, like whether it was preparing dinner for the next day, doing laundry, or cleaning the house. I would stay up until it was time for me to drop off the kids the next day. Samantha was in 5th grade at the time, and Brody was still going to childcare. And I would just stay up until it was time for me to drop them off. And then after I dropped them off, I would go home and rest before it was my shift. Well, with my new career, and I've been in it since September, and like I said, I love it. I love it. I'm so happy. But just like the 8:30 to 5, the structure of knowing what would be my schedule, and knowing what I can contribute to Brody, Samantha, and to Sam was my win. I think that if you are in a career where you're constantly winning, and when I say constantly winning, it doesn't mean that you're always winning. You'll have your days where you feel like you failed, or you have your days where it feels like you were not as successful as you would want to be. I would say stick with it. Never leave a career on bad terms, because you never know. Like my current position right now, it was my district manager from Ruby Tuesday that I pretty much stayed in contact with, and I wished her kids' birthdays. I wished her birthdays. We had lunch one time after I left Ruby Tuesday, and just stayed in contact. And I think overall, knowing that I left on good terms and that I was dependable, not saying that I'm the best thing out there, because I know that I have areas of opportunities, as do all of us. We have areas of opportunities in which we can grow. But building those relationships and standing on those relationships and not burning bridges. She was a higher up, and even in my new career that I love so much, she's still a higher up to me, and I still admire her. I think I admire her definitely more now than I did then, because you get to see the adversities of different corporations and how they can adjust, and to see that I want to be like her, you know, but that's neither here or there. We'll talk about that at a later date and time. So, 1, think about it. Are you really ready to move on? 2, what's making you feel like you're ready to move on? Are you moving on because it's bad terms? Or are you moving on because it's a win-win for your situation? 3, if you move on, would that person that you left be willing to vouch for you if he or she moved into a better position? 4, are you happy? And I think that's the most important. You have to be happy in whatever you're doing. Me, I went from restaurants where it is a monster and I loved it. I loved every moment of it, to now it being corporate America. I am the image account manager and I am not working with food anymore, but I'm working with attire and uniforms and tailored suiting for the luxury and premium brands. But I'm so happy with it. And even with the change of that fast pace, I'm still busy. It's a different kind of stress. You have to know what you're willing to take. Are you happy? Is this a temporary fix that you're looking for a new career? Did one guest or one customer say something to you? Sleep it off. Think about it. Write a list of your pros and your cons. If your pros outweigh it, don't look for a new career. If your pros don't outweigh it and your cons are coming in a little higher than your pros, look. But even in looking, research and know what they're saying about that industry, what they're saying about that brand. And if you're still having more than the cons or less than the cons, if you have more, dig a little further. Reach out to some people that have been in that industry or been with that brand. But if your cons are less than your cons now, or more than your cons now, if they're more than your cons now, stick with it. Do some more research. But make sure it's a win-win. And make sure you can deliver. Never leave a company that you can't deliver those expectations to. And I know I've been to women's conferences and things of that nature where us as women, we doubt ourselves, or we tend to doubt ourselves, and we tend to feel like we can't do what other people, males, are doing, or we can't commit to what they're committing to. But seriously, think about it, because we're more of a realist, and that could be me being a feminist. We're more of realists. Can you commit to that? Can you deliver? Because knowing us, we want to be everything that we signed up to be, right? Think about it. Commit to it. If you can do it, if you can do it, if it's going to be a win-win, apply. Dig in. If you get it, you get it. Congratulations. If you don't, take the notes from this interview. Did it make you feel empowered? Or did it make you feel like less than? If it made you feel like less than, what are the steps that you need to take? Do you need to stay at your current employer? Or do you need to learn more about you and more about your capabilities so that when the next opportunity presents itself, you're ready and you can take it? Think about it. It's definitely a lot to think about. Guys, please, please, please let me know what you think. It's definitely a very, very, very interesting conversation. When did you know it was time to move on for your career? Do you miss it? Do you regret it? Would you go back ever? I know for me personally, right now in the stages of my career, I've had restaurant dreams, and I've had dreams where I've gone back and it's not for me. I've experienced a different standard, a different brand, and a different expectation. And I am very, very, very grateful that I've stepped out of my comfort zone. And I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it for my family, for Sam, for Samantha, and for Brody. And most of all, I'm happy for it for me. Please let me know what you think. I love you guys. I missed you so much. And we have a very, very, very exciting topic for tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye.